Okay, hello everyone. My name's Eloisa Ramos, and we are here to study A Course in Miracles. We are on chapter 10 of the text, and I'm here with my daughter Sonia and my friend Connie. Hi. So
Hello.
let's see. So we left off on section 1, At Home in God. And okay, let's start with paragraph 1. You do not know your creations simply because you would decide against them. As long as your mind is split, and to attack what you have created is impossible. But remember that it is as impossible for God. The law of creation is that you love your creations as yourself because they are part of you. Everything that was created is therefore perfectly safe because the laws of God protected by his love. Any part of your mind that does not know this has banished itself from knowledge because it has not met its conditions. Who could have done this but you? Recognize this gladly, for in this recognition lies the realization that your banishment is not of God and therefore does not exist. Okay. Okay, so we want to start by distinguishing between creation and making, because the Course really emphasizes that they're not the same. And the chapter is called At Home in God. So to be at home in God means to have realized that we are not an ego, that there is no separation, that we have never left our true home with God. Okay. And that's where our creations are, because making happens in time, and anything that we make in time is of a world that is temporal. It's not eternal. So everything in the world of time doesn't last. Um, and so, okay, so what what it's telling us here is that we do not know our creations because we would decide against them as long as our mind is split. Okay. Okay. So a split mind is a mind that is not wholly valuing and deciding only for the truth. It means that we still find value in the idea of separation, of being a separate self, a body, an ego. And we find that there's things in the world that we're still attached to or value or, want from the world. And so we're not wholly committed to wanting only the truth. And that's why the mind is split. In a state of believing in time and in being a separate self that has left wholeness, we're going to believe in attack. Um, and and so in truth, okay, we cannot attack what we have created. That's impossible. But to the ego that represents the belief that attack is possible on God, on wholeness, that's, that's believable to the ego. Um, but it's reminding us here that, remember, it is as impossible for God. So God cannot, the idea of attack is just impossible for God because there's no separation in God. There's nothing there that you need separation to attack. So that's just impossible in the realm of knowledge. Um, so in the law of creation, which is how we were created by God, is that you love your creations as yourself because it's an extension of love. And that's our essential true nature to be the same as our loving creator. That's why, the lessons we're on now talk about my mind is holy, because my mind is in the mind of God. I am a part of the mind of God. So we are not separate from the mind of God. And so we are an extension of what God is. Okay, so everything that was created is therefore perfectly safe. Okay, so in the world, there's unsafety and there's fear. In the world of time, there's unsafety, there's fear, because we believe in attack in the world, because we perceive ourselves as a body, and a body can assault another body, and and the ego made the body to reflect separation, to tell us that that's what we are, and that's why we we are fearful. Um, so and so any part of the mind, okay, that does not know that it is perfectly protected um, by God and His love, um, does not know that um, does not know, because it has banished itself from knowledge. It's the belief that it has separated from knowledge. Um, eh, so and God didn't do that. So it's our own mind that has this belief that it's possible to separate from wholeness, from unconditional love that is God. And okay, it says recognize. Okay, so who could have done this by you? Okay, so if we recognize that God's not doing this to us, okay, God's not the creator. God is not a creator of time. God is a creator of what is eternal, not of a temporal world, not of the body that is temporal. So if we recognize that this whole world of perception of separation is our own doing, then we can come to the realization that it can't be true, okay? Because only what God creates is real, and only what is eternal is real. And so the mind begins to wake up from the dream of separation. Okay. Okay, paragraph 2.
You are at home in God, dreaming of exile, but perfectly capable of awakening to reality. Is it your decision to do so? You recognize from your own experience that what you see in dreams you think is real while you are asleep. Yet the instant you waken, you realize that everything that seemed to happen in the dream did not happen at all. You do not think this strange, even though all the laws of what you awakened to were violated while you slept. Is it not possible that you merely shifted from one dream to another without really waking? Yeah, I guess we don't really question that. I mean, from the sleeping dream to this dream, because yeah, it's the same. It's just I feel like because I make a difference at least like when stuff, like all the laws are violated, like while I sleep and I have a dream. Like
Mhm.
there's some pretty crazy dreams that I've had, but I can't really make a difference between that and this waking dream, um, because it's still just as crazy. It just doesn't seem as extreme, I think.
Well, there's a lot of pretty crazy things going on in the world, but we we become accustomed to it. You can say we've conditioned ourselves and therefore don't see it as strange because it's normal. We've normalized it.
Yeah.
Um, and so we think, well, that's just the way the world is, you know, um, and and we're familiar with it, and we call that reality.
Mm.
And so what it's saying here is, could it not be possible that you're still really dreaming just because you wake up from a dream at night from, you're being asleep at night and you wake up? Could it not be possible that you're just shifting from one dream to another? So, it's starting to to um to have you really, what's the word? Not be so sure that the world of perception of separation is reality, you know.
This is a tricky paragraph.
Yeah.
At least for me, it just, well, this where we think we are now, I mean, it's so long, it just keeps going. Whereas a dream at night is pretty, seems very, very quick, very short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 12
And
hours. Yeah.
so, well, I don't know actually the length or whatever. Yeah, this is just, so is it just two of the same levels of consciousness, or are they two different levels in consciousness, or are they both the same? It's just,
Well, okay. The assumption, when you say, that we're that we're here is we're assuming time. We're assuming the reality of time.
mhm.
Yeah. And the other day I really had the insight that because I was feeling a little bit stressed and I thought, oh, you know, I, there's so much here that I'm holding on to that's not real. How long is this going to take to let it all go? And then and then I let that idea go, and then I had the insight that, wait a minute, I'm not in time. It's the idea of time that is in my mind. You see that? Yeah. So so time itself is an idea that's part of the dream of not being in eternity. So it just depends where we start, the point of reference from where we start looking at this. But if we start from the title here, At Home in God, okay, then time is just an idea that's not real from that point of reference. Yeah. But like it's saying here, it's making an analogy, okay, that when we're dreaming, um, we're seeing symbols and things. And as long as we're asleep and dreaming, we do think that those things are real. I mean, I I sometimes react physically to what's going on in the dream. I whack my husband. Yeah, I'm still asleep, but my arm is actually whacking him. So definitely there's a part of me that's asleep, but it's still activating the body because it thinks the dream is real. Um, you know, so um, so it's just making an analogy, and it's just saying, why wouldn't that be the same? Why couldn't you put into the dream the idea that, oh, you fall asleep and dream as a body, you know, just so that you can accept the idea of duality and say, well, the dream's not real, but when I wake up, this is real. And then I can have an opposite to reality. Because the truth does not have an opposite, but in a world of duality of time, we do. It's a world of opposition, so we believe in opposites. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know if that helped, Connie. Yeah, so the waking, in terms of the dream, it's a physical, the body wakes up. Okay. It's not, it doesn't have its eyes closed. It's not sort of that part of the perception is shut down. Um, but the waking that, the spiritual waking is really the analogy of realizing that we're not the self that thinks it is in time. We are the self that is eternal spirit, still at home in God. Um, so, it's about identifying ourselves as eternal spirit or as a body, ego, personality in time, one or the other. And when we study the Course in Miracles, we keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until we finally get to the place where, okay, only what is of God is real, period. And that's really the Christ. That's the Christ mind. Because it no longer is valuing or accepting or buying into any thought of separation because it knows it's not real. Okay, number 3, Connie.
Would you bother to reconcile what happened in conflicting dreams? Or would you dismiss both together if you discovered that reality is in accord with neither? You do not remember being awake. When you hear the Holy Spirit, you may feel better because loving then seems possible to you, but you do not remember yet that it once was so. And it is in this remembering that you will know it can be so again. What is possible has not yet been accomplished, yet what has once been is so now, if it is eternal. When you remember, you will know that what you remember is eternal and therefore is now.
Anything, Connie, with that one? No? Okay. Yes. So the idea of reconciling. Okay, so what it's saying is, look, we wouldn't try to reconcile, conflicting dreams. Why would we? We know they're not real. Okay. Um, so but in the world that we live in, we do try to reconcile opposites because we think we live in a world of opposites, and we believe that those opposites are real, and therefore that the conflict is real, and so we try to reconcile them. Okay, but what if they're not real? Um, and so to the mind that is awake, it remembers it. There's no need to reconcile opposites because both opposites are not true. So there's no need to try to reconcile the conflict because there is no real conflict, just like you wouldn't try to reconcile the conflicting dreams. And so what it's saying is that we do not remember love because let's see, because we are asleep and dreaming of conflict, which is not love, and attack and division. Okay. But once we start remembering love, then we will know it. We will know it can be so again because that memory that is that our link, because the Holy Spirit is in our mind and it's our link to that knowing. So the remembering is a recognition, okay, that I never left knowledge. So it's not a learning, oh, I'm learning something new. No, it's a remembering that I have not changed, and that I still am as God created me. And that is still true now. Okay, because even if I'm still not fully awake, I can catch glimpses of that essential, of the true essential self that's eternal when I remember the truth. Okay, number 4. You will remember everything the instant you desire it wholly. For if to desire wholly is to create, you will have willed away the separation, returning your mind simultaneously to your Creator and your creations. Knowing them, you will have no wish to sleep, but only the desire to waken and be glad. Dreams will be impossible because you will want only truth, and being at last your will, it will be yours. Okay, so this is what we were talking about earlier as the Christ mind, as what Jesus, represents, which is to desire wholly, and therefore to not be of a split mind, and therefore to recognize that the will of the Son is the same as the will of the Father. So, and ultimately, I mean, that's God's will. That's ultimate power. That's infinite power. And so there can be no opposition to that. And so dreams, the last line, dreams will be impossible because you will want only truth. So we won't, the mind will not miscreate because it is not split, and there's no fear in it. So all of the belief in separation is a belief based on fear, which is a miscreation, which is the let's see, which is the projection of images that that seem to be separate from one another, as the world of conflict and division and attack, which is all fear. It's all fear-based. Okay, so we will have willed away the separation, returning your mind simultaneously to your creation and your creations. So that's the title, At Home in God. Okay. Okay, so it's giving us kind of the whole the whole picture of let's see, of why it's worth our time to practice the forgiveness, to practice the lessons, because it's training the mind to remember and to take guidance from the part of the mind that does remember knowledge. Yeah. Okay. All right. So unless there's any questions, that was section 1. And the next section is the decision to forget. Okay. So thank you. We'll stop here. Until next time.